Today, I'm going to talk about something that may or may not be a contentious topic, depending on who you ask. Now, we all know Genshin Impact's writing can be a little bit hit and miss at the best of times. We have all seen many a time where the writers make Paimon just say the most absurd stuff. One of my favorite that I can recall is the typical, oh hey, here's Kaya over there. Let's go say hi to Kaya. Hi Kaya. It's just, a lot of unnecessary fluff in the writing, which I'm not here to get into the argument of whether Genshin Impact's writing is good or not, because I think from a base level, it is. Because don't get me wrong, I have no interest in this game's story whatsoever, but every time an Archon quest comes on, I can't help trying to skip through it all, and then halfway through going, wait, hold up a minute. Why is this super interesting? And then I'll get really intrigued and I'll keep watching. And that's because when they are trying to make, story that is, it's to further the plot, it's to increase the intrigue of the world, it is actually really interesting. And I will give them props for that, because every time a new Archon quest comes out, I'm like, oh god, this is going to take me forever to get through. And then I play it, and I'm like, oh, I actually really enjoyed the story. When I was going through the Archon quest, or whatever quest it is called, for Nahida, the one in Sumeru City, which I don't want to say out loud because spoilers, was so good. I was actually surprised that I enjoyed it as much as I did. Yeah, I still skipped through a ton of the dialogue, but I'm an impatient person. But I actually really enjoyed the story they were trying to convey, and I was actually really interested. So the argument isn't that Genshin Impact can't write a good story, because they can. It's obviously interesting, and now we're getting an anime, so it's going to be even more interesting for people that are interested. But I see this problem all the time, and it really bothers me. It's typically when I go on to something like YouTube Shorts and people are complaining about the lack of a skip button, or there's a part of the story that they're just not interested in, or they're making fun of Genshin Impact's writing. And then people in the comments are like, well, if you don't like Genshin Impact's story, you're not going to like Genshin Impact. And it is the most asinine take I think I've ever heard, because it just doesn't make any sense. Because, yeah, fundamentally, the story for Genshin Impact is a very, very key point of the overall, interest. The characters are interesting. They've got cool designs. The world of Teyvat is interesting. But going back to my previous point, yeah, I see people in the comments all the time, not in my videos because I don't usually talk about the story, but I see them in YouTube Shorts all the time like, oh, well, if you don't like the story of Genshin Impact, why are you playing it? Because you clearly have no interest in the story and the world and X, Y, and Z. You don't need to have any interest in any of the characters or of any of the world of Genshin Impact to enjoy it. I will and forever say this game needs a skip button for dialogue. Honkai Impact has one. This game does not have one. Will they ever create one? I really hope so, because it's been nearly 3 years. But if you don't like the story of Genshin Impact, that is okay. I see this all the time, where people are gaslighting others into thinking, hey, if you don't like the story, this game is not for you. That is completely incorrect. You should play a game because of the elements you find fun. For instance, if you are a massive lore buff, there's a lot of stuff you can nitpick and enjoy with Genshin Impact. I mean, you've got the comics and stuff, have we not? We've got the anime coming up. There's so much to enjoy with Genshin Impact's lore that there's just so much to enjoy. But on the flip side, the game has incredibly solid gameplay. Yes, when it first came out, we all thought it was Breath of the Wild, but anime gacha. And in a way, we're not completely incorrect, but we also weren't completely correct at the same time, because it's not nearly as similar as Breath of the Wild as it once was. The gameplay elements are very unique to Genshin Impact, and it's very fun, it's very satisfying, and the elemental reaction gameplay is very satisfying to pull off when you suddenly piece together a team that originally didn't work, and then all of a sudden, oh my goodness, it's so fun and so satisfying and just so incredibly enjoyable to just play. Because at the end of the day, Genshin Impact is a video game. They are selling the characters and the weapons for you to be stronger and for you to enjoy variety. The story, you can enjoy the story for free. You don't have to pay a single penny to enjoy any aspect of Genshin Impact's story. So why in the world do they make new characters and weapons? Because it's a video game and you play video games. So if you're one of those people that play the game and worry, oh, I'm just not into the story, but I really like the gameplay, but people are unnecessarily gatekeeping with like, well, if you don't like the story, you're not going to like Genshin Impact, it's just completely incorrect. You do not have to enjoy any aspect of the game's story. I'm on a weird fringe case of where I don't really care for the game's story, but occasionally it'll interest me and I'll pay attention. I am 100% here for the gameplay. There's nothing you could do to make me ever interested in the lore. Lore just doesn't do it for me. I love gameplay mechanics. I love gameplay. That's why I play video games. Occasionally I'll be obsessed with a story, but that's because the game is centered around story. For instance, one of my favorite story-based games is To the Moon. The first time I played To the Moon, absolutely incredible. I love To the Moon. The gameplay in that one, almost completely pointless. But the music and the storytelling was phenomenal, and at some point I need to get and deal with the sequels. Genshin Impact is the opposite. You can love the story, or you can hate the story, or you can feel completely indifferent to the story. At the end of the day, it is a video game. No one cares how you play your video games. There's that sort of famous meme of like, oh, you're not allowed to have fun like that, you should be having fun like this. So for some people, they play Genshin Impact, they follow the meta to the letter so that they have the perfect team at all times. Or maybe you're a little bit like me. You like to play fun teams that have a bit of fun to them, that aren't too complicated or aren't too meta. You don't just want massive damage numbers all the time, because it eventually does get a little bit boring and a little bit stale. Or maybe you just like exploring the world, avoiding combat, and just, watching the waves roll by. Or maybe you like sticking your head into literally every piece of readable text in Genshin Impact that you can find. And if that's the case, you're just as valid as everyone else that plays the game. At no point do you need to love, enjoy, or even appreciate the story of Genshin Impact, because ultimately, as long as you're enjoying the game in whatever weird and wonderful way that you can find, that's all that matters. And when that stops, maybe just don't play the game anymore. We all get burnt out with Genshin Impact for one reason or another. Lack of content, lack of endgame content, no new characters we find interesting, the constant RNG based farming that's going to all kill us one day. But as long as you enjoy the game, that is ultimately what matters. So if you ever see on those YouTube shorts or videos where people are like, well, if you don't like the story, you're not going to like Genshin Impact at all and you should stop playing it, just leave it alone. It's not worth the effort. It's not worth the bother. And just know that they're welcome to their opinion, even if their opinion is incorrect. It is a video game. You play it literally however you find the most enjoyable. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. It's just a weird hot take I see all the time that just makes absolutely no sense. You don't have to enjoy the story of anything to enjoy a piece of media. Never feel bad for enjoying a game how you enjoy it. Just because I play the game one way and you play it a completely different way is all fine and dandy. I'm not a massive fan of exploring open worlds anymore. I've gone over my open world phase. When I see a game as open world now, I'm like, oh, for the love of God, please stop. Just be a linear corridor. I don't have time for all this open world stuff. That's just how I am now. But if, you love open worlds, fair enough. What I'm saying is, as long as you enjoy it, that's literally all that matters at the end of the day. Because it may be a stupid comment, but you still have to live with yourself. And as long as you're having fun, that's ultimately the main goal with literally any piece of media ever. So there we are. So, thank you for those who stuck around until the end. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you actually think you need to love the story to play Genshin Impact. I'd like to hear your opinion. I will 100% definitely not agree with it, but, you know, it'd be nice to see what other people think. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Until next time, I've been James, the Mayor of Jamestown. Goodbye.